Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of Fengshui and Neurographic Art. So last video we talked about the 5 elements of Fengshui. So this video we are going to talk about the elements and the compass direction. How do you lay the elements onto the 8 different compass directions? So as we know, our compass directions, we have north-south, but in Feng Shui, traditional Feng Shui direction, okay, it's using south-north. Every traditional compass direction for Feng Shui, you will always see south on top and north at the bottom. But for purposes of easier to understand, I'm going to flip the direction and flip everything accordingly so that it's easier for those of us who are so used to the normal way of having compass directions as north on top and south at the bottom. Okay? And then we have the other directions as such. So no changes. So it's north, east, south, west, clockwise. Alright? So north, we have water. And then followed by earth, which is in the northeast. And then we have wood in the east. And then wood in the southeast. And then we have fire in the south. And then we have earth in the southwest. And then we have metal in the west and metal in the northwest. Now, if you notice, other than between north and northeast, everything in the clockwise directions has the elements supporting the next element. Okay, so with the exception of north, northeast, if you go from the east onward in the clockwise direction, with except the northeast sector, it follows the supported cycle. So you see wood supports fire, fire supports earth, earth supports metal, metal supports water. Then obviously in the northeastern sector is more like water destroys earth, and wood and earth is also destructive interaction. Okay, so between water and earth and wood, they're both destructive interactions between these three. All right, so now what all these means is each direction has a prevailing element in that sector. So you can either energize that direction to bring more harmony if you are lacking in that element in that direction. So say for example, let's say if your northwestern sector has a prevalence of fire, in order to harmonize that, you can add more earth element into that direction, so you can harmonize the interaction between fire and metal by having earth in the middle, So what that happens is, because fire supports earth, therefore earth supports metal, so everything is harmonized. Or if you don't have enough, say, wood element in the eastern sector, so what you do is you can just add more wood into that sector, so that enough wood that it will be seen kind of in the equal amounts of every element in the other sectors of your home. Okay? Now, there's more than just this. So each element, each direction also has its own meaning in relation to the family and to the home. For example, I forgot to mention that in the middle of the home, it's the wood element. Okay, so back to the directions and the meaning in relation to the family and the home. You have, for example, in the north is the sector that belongs to the middle sun, the heaven, the spiritual side, and luck. Okay, so the northern direction or the northern sector of the home is the sector for where your spiritual or your religious things are. So in this sector, it's really good to have your altar or your spiritual knickknacks or whatever in this sector of your home. Okay, but this is a little above and beyond what I wanted to cover for Feng Shui in this basic Feng Shui information. So I'm not going to go too much into that. So basically just know that, each sector rules over a certain aspect of the home, your family life, and the family. Okay, so for north is the middle sun and luck, and the heavens and the spirit. For the northeast is the sector for the youngest son and education. For the east is the eldest son and family health or health in general for the entire household. And for the southeast is the eldest daughter. The wealth is also one of the wealth corners and is also a prosperity sector for Compass Feng Shui. And in the south is for the middle daughter and fame and recognition for the household. And in the southwest is the mother or the caretaker of the household, and it's also the sector that is in control or the sector that's supplying energy to the romance, the marriage, and the relationship. So if you're looking for romance or looking to get married or looking to have a good relationship in the family or with a girlfriend or whatever, this is the sector to energize for that. And in the west is the youngest daughter, your children, and also the sector that governs creativity. And in the northwest is the father, the breadwinner, or the career. Okay, and then we go back to the north again. Now, the reason I am giving you this information is because when you draw neurographic art, example, you can draw a health tree or, a neurolotus or something. You can do it not only for yourself, but for your family as well by displaying this in one of the sectors of your home. Now, where you can display and what I'll push it to later in this video. But for now, we're doing, there's one thing you need to understand here is we're doing symbolic feng shui here with the compass directions. Okay? So we will be talking a lot about the colors, the symbols, and what each sector governs and what you should do and all that. So with all this information here, given here, you can do neurographic arts for health, for career, for luck, and display your art in that sector of your home. Oh yes, I just noticed I forgot something. In the middle of all this, it's also for family, self, and health. Okay? So if it's for your own, so say if you live alone, then obviously none of the youngest son, eldest daughter, or mother or father is going to matter to you because you live alone. So only things like breadwinner, the caretaker of the home, etc., wealth corner, and the family health and your own health. Obviously, if you live alone, both the family, the self, and the family health are going to be you. Okay, so unless you have some illegitimate son somewhere or some children from previous marriages or whatever, then those youngest son, eldest daughter will count. Okay, but if they're not living in the home, then it doesn't matter. They're still not part of your feng shui for your home. They're external. So this is assuming that they all live together with you. Now you got to remember that for feng shui being a very ancient Chinese science, the culture back then is for the whole family to be living together from young to old, even when they get married. When they get married, they just move off to a different sector of the family home. The family home is really big. You can say it's almost like a castle, a little mini castle, so to say. Okay, they'll have like, the homes will have like east wing, west wing, south wing, and all that stuff. Really big, and then the center of it all is a big courtyard where the main entrance leads into, and that's for the grand hall effect. Now, when I said this, if you look at the map of the Forbidden City, you would also notice this. Okay, that the entrance of the Forbidden City will lead into this very huge courtyard, and from this courtyard it splits off into east, west, south, north, and all that. Okay, so in any case, when you do symbolic feng shui, you bring in all the elements to energize according to the element for that sector of the home. Okay, now let me move on and give you a bit more information about this and how you can lay all these into a grid of your home. Okay, so moving on. Usually when we look at a compass direction, we have this, a circle, north, east, south, west. Okay? But you can also do this. You lay it out in the grid, a matrix grid, a square grid of 9 squares, where you will have all the sectors split up into an equal square. I use rounded square because it looks better here. But when you're doing this, you can draw out a grid and split it into an either square or rectangle. It's up to you as long as they're all of equal dimensions. Okay? But what I'm saying here is that you can do this. From a circle, we turn it into a grid a square grid of 9 squares. Okay, now this grid will correspond to all the elements of the compass direction I just showed you earlier. And from here, you can either stretch it to look like this or squish it to look like this. Okay? And then when you let's say you have the layout of the home. It doesn't have to be this precise, but I pulled this off the internet this is obviously I'm using this, I dare to use this in this video because it's under the common license, so it's open, no copyright, anything. And this is just an example of a layout of a house or a home, and you can overlay this grid like this. So when you overlay this grid like this is when you start talking about, oh yeah, there's a missing sector in the west. If you look at this grid, and you can tell that, the west part, the square that demarcates this whole grid with the west, only half of the sector is filled up with the home, therefore it has a missing sector. Okay, this is another advanced part of Feng Shui that I won't be going into. Okay? Now, if you feel that this is a little too much and you don't want to deal with all this, which you should be, so I recommend that you only do your living room. Okay? And you do it this way. So again, we see the layout of the home of the home again, and then you just do the living room like that. See how easy it is now? And that because the living room is visited by all family members, so it is, when you do it, it's good. And if you do it really well, you can feel it. Okay? So this one thing about Feng Shui is, if you do it correctly, you will feel it. And you will feel that the energy in that space is really energizing, or more like it's very, very comfortable to be around in that space that you have Feng Shui. Okay? For whatever reason, when you walk into the space, it's like, oh my god, it feels so good. And that was what happened to my apartment in the States when I was living there. Everyone who walks in, they say, it feels really good. And I didn't know any little to nothing about Feng Shui back then besides the elemental directions. And I just went about the whole area and I said, okay, I'm just going to do it like what I feel I should put in this area and what this area and all that. So the other thing about Feng Shui, when you're trying to do it, is you have to go by intuitive feel sometimes. You make a change, and then you let it sit for a while, for some period of time, and see how it feels to you. If it feels good, leave it. If something doesn't feel right, make some changes or change it back if what it was before actually felt better. Okay? So with Feng Shui, you actually is more of a touch and go. Try it, see it. If it works, leave it. If it doesn't, change it. Okay? So with that, I will show you a bigger picture of what you do. So in this case, let's say this is your living room. You will just overlay the grid like this. Okay, this is a zoom in version. Obviously, this is not the layout of the living room that I showed you before, but this is just an example of how it can look. Alright? So now, I am going to end the video here, and I will talk more about the flow of energy in the next video. Okay, but right now you can see why. After this video, you should be able to see why I'm trying to give out information on how you can combine Neurographica and Fengshui, okay, as blessings for yourself or blessings for other people in your home if they're living there. Okay, obviously you can use Neurographica as a form of blessing to anybody that you don't see who's not living with you. That can be done through the connection of the universe. Okay, but you can also apply Feng Shui to your own home where you live for yourself or for the people living with you. Alright? And with that, I end this video, and I will see you again in part 3 of the video about Neurographica and Feng Shui. Thank you for coming.